apprenticeships have always been sort of overlooked in the past, haven't they? They've always said the silent partner amongst it all.
Absolutely spot on, Rach. I mean, it's a sad fact really that I think, we've been calling for that parity of esteem, and that's been one of the biggest things that I've been trying to influence as well. It's so important. There is a place for all of us. So there's a place for FE, there's a place for HE, there's a place for the employability programs, but there is a massive place really for, apprenticeship and work-based learning as well.
Welcome to the second episode of the Learning Collab, hosted by Rachel
and Ros
of Panda Education and Training. The Learning Collab is all about sharing good practice and the latest developments in the work-based learning and apprenticeship sector.
So in this second episode, we're joined by Lisa Mytton, Strategic Director of the National Training Federation of Wales. And Lisa's going to share her insights about the value of work-based learning and apprenticeships in Wales and how things are changing. So Lisa, welcome to the Learning Collab.
Hi both. Thank you so much for the invite. Great to join you today.
So, Lisa, we've known each other, well, many, many years.
I know what you're going to. Yeah, I was going to say when it's so many years, Rachel, isn't it? And it's crazy how that time has gone, and then how we moved and adapted into different roles, but still sort of always have our paths that cross as well, isn't it? So which is the world that we live in with learning, work-based learning, and apprenticeships as well. But no, it's lovely to still be in touch and still be working closely with you as well.
Absolutely. So can you thinking about that, can you just tell us about where your passion for vocational education and apprenticeships has come from and a bit about your journey?
Yes, of course. I think, well, inevitably, it's probably I should start at the ripe old age of 16. So what happened, I left school with a few qualifications, but I was really passionate about wanting to become a travel agent at the time. I wanted to travel the world and be a travel agent. And the only opportunity and opening I had was to be able to become an apprentice. So I became an apprentice travel agent at the age of 16. And you're not going to believe this, but through my journey, in the first couple of months, my training assessor said to me, Lisa, they're a little bit concerned. Are you ready for this, Rach? They're a little bit concerned that you're quite too quiet. But I think this is where the support of assessors is really important, because I probably was. I'd left school, gone into the world of work, and it can be an intimidating place. All of a sudden you have to have customer service and be polite and know what you're doing, and you need the encouragement of your training advisor. So Pat, her name was Pat O'Neill, I'll never forget, and Pat said to me, they think you're a little bit quiet. And I was like, oh my gosh, Pat, okay, can you help me and give me a little bit more confidence in what to do? And we just grew from there. And then my manager said to me, it's not so much you're quiet, but just approach a customer when they come in. And so literally, well, I never stopped then, did I? I never stopped. So yeah, that's where my passion came from. So 16 years old, I was an apprentice, qualified. And what happened was I maintained that relationship with our training provider. And at the ripe old age of 19, I was offered to open up my own shop in Blackwood and become a manager there, which was an amazing achievement for this young girl who left with a few qualifications, but not as many as I could have probably applied myself to. And so then I decided to take on apprentices myself. So it was a role reversal, but there was a little bit of give back. And so that's what I did. I took on apprentices through the same training provider, and that went on for a number of years until the world of travel changed. I was very fortunate to have traveled extensively, but it sort of changed. And I thought, right, what am I going to do next? I feel like I've got a lot more to offer. Why don't I become a training advisor or somewhat some job within that role? So I contacted the training company. They said, look, come in for a chat. And that's how it went. So I started working for what was Link Training then, some 26 years ago, I think it was, and then went into quality and all of these different aspects of working within the apprenticeship field and employability field. And so that's where my passion really sort of derived from.
Excellent. And what about your current role within the NTFW?
So, as you know, we worked closely over the years. When I became a quality manager for the providers for ALS at the time, we then moved into ACT. And absolutely loved that role and really, sort of embraced that. But I've also had a 16-year political career alongside for my sins. And so my role was changing, and I took a year's secondment to become leader of Medr Council and sort of, give as much commitment as to that as I could. And so when I decided to, stay as a local councillor, but not stay as leader, I thought, right, what am I going to do next? And just by chance, through talking to my colleagues at ALS and ECT, just by chance, this job came up with NTFW as the strategic director. But NTFW were also evolving and changing at the time. They wanted to become more strategically thinking because we knew what was on the horizon. Medr, or CETA as we called it at the time, changes to the landscape, the qualifications, etc., and of course funding. So the role needed somebody with a little bit of political background again. And so I became the strategic director some 2.5 years ago now with NTFW, the National Training Federation. And really over the last 2.5 years, that role has been setting about the strategic priorities for NTFW, working on behalf of all the providers that are, members of ours, and really being a conduit between them and government and other bodies, Qualifications Wales, awarding organisations, Medr, etc., and Welsh Government specifically, to really showcase the world of apprenticeships, but also to really lobby for money for apprenticeships and employability schemes as well.
Yeah, it's such an important role, isn't it? Apprenticeships have always been sort of overlooked in the past, haven't they? They've always the silent partner amongst it all.
Absolutely spot on, Rach. I mean, it's a sad fact, really, that I think, we've been calling for that parity of esteem, and that's been one of the biggest things that I've been trying to influence as well. It's so important. There is a place for all of us. So there's a place for FE, there's a place for HE, there's a place for employability programs, but there is a massive place really for, apprenticeship and work-based learning as well. So it's just about, having that parity, the post-16 world, the post-14 world, even in some aspects, really, that, we've all got a seat around the table and there's opportunities for all.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that in mind, what would you say the current landscape of post-16 education is at the moment in Wales?
So I think inevitably it's been a tough 12 months. It's been a tough 12 months because we had quite a considerable reduction in contract. So originally we were looking at a reduction of around sort of 27, 28, 30%, lots of different discussions. So what I did is I worked in partnership, in collaboration with Coleg Cymru, to really lobby Welsh Government and ministers, showcase the importance of apprenticeships, and the need really, because we want to grow the economy in Wales, and we're better to do it than having a skilled workforce and, succession planning, growing our own talent, etc. So we've been doing that for the last 12 months. We did have some success. The cut was 14% rather than the higher original amount. Still a significant cut. So obviously there's been some concern around that. And we've been now really proactive in talking to government to say, look, stay with us, grow our budget, because, there really is opportunity out there. And also as well, the landscape of qualifications has changed. We had the vocational review, didn't we, from Sharon Lusher, 12 months ago now, and that's been taken into consideration. So I think for us all in this arena, in this network, it's just getting used to now what the new ways of working will look like. We've just had the ESW report, I know is a number of years ahead of us. But again, that transition really into what qualifications and frameworks will look like in Wales alongside that budget as well. So there's a lot going on.
Obviously, apprenticeships do massively contribute to the growth of the economy, isn't it? They can be a fantastic for companies wanting to take on people or retrain people. There are huge opportunities, and So with that in mind, then last year you said, last year CETA was created, was the year before?
So if we want to touch upon CETA at the moment, so we've known about them for quite some time, and so we've been ready really for them to take place. Simon Perrott came on board a year ago as the CEO. Simon's got a fantastic FEHE knowledge, but also work-based learning knowledge as well, which is really welcomed. So he came on board. They were due to actually kick off from the 1st of March, but it was delayed slightly to the 1st of August this year. So from the 1st of August, then we have the establishment of CETA, which is the Commission for Tertiary Education in Wales, and formerly called Medr, which is the Welsh word for skills. So if ever you see the branding or discussions around it now, it's Medr. Who are Medr? Well, they're the Commission for Tertiary Education in Wales. So a massive step change for us all now sort of sitting around the table. So you've got, as I said, your FE colleagues, HE colleagues, you've got your ACL community learning, and of course you've got your apprenticeships. Our colleagues that work with employability programs, they still sit with Welsh Government, like Jobs Growth Wales Plus, etc. But undoubtedly, the conversations will still occur within Medr as well. And what they're doing is they're just opening up, just launching their consultation for their own strategic priorities this week, actually. And I think that has to go for a legislative ministerial approval by, I want to say, about the 15th, 16th of December. So there's lots going on at the moment where, colleagues like us, yourselves, you and Roz, will be asked to actually participate in some of those consultations and give some feedback as to, what are the priorities? How do we see this moving forward? So it'll be a partnership and a relationship with them, as well as Welsh Government colleagues alongside. But there are some familiar faces that you'll recognise as well that are now within Medr. So that's great, because we can still, build and strengthen those relationships, as well as building on some of the newer colleagues that have joined us as well.
I mean, at Panda, we predominantly work with tutors, assessors, trainee tutors and assessors. How is this going to affect them and, those people working on the ground?
Yeah,
do you think?
Yeah. I think as far as Medr are concerned, the transition, as they step through this now, and they get to grips with all that's their responsibility, I think it shouldn't necessarily affect anybody on the ground. If anything, in the future, it'll enhance and support you guys in Panda with regards to what you will share then as far as upskilling, qualifying staff within the work-based learning arena. There's a lady, Cleona, I'm sure you know Cleona, she works in Medr now. She's really eager to look at the quality side of all of the tertiary education, really, how we can learn from each other. So I imagine there'll be lots of different events where we can join forces, share good practice, share ideas, and then, help our workforce within our area, our network, really, to grow and learn from others as well, So I think it brings about opportunity. There will be some challenges, undoubtedly, as we move into this, and colleagues in Estin getting familiar now with all of the new processes from Medr. But I think for us, it'll be, business as usual as we move into this transition phase as well.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying actually about the collaboration element. So obviously we've called our podcast the Learning Collab, because since we set up Panda, we've collaborated with so many different people from different backgrounds and learnt from each other. So hopefully that will be really a benefit that comes from CETA and Medr.
I think the ethos of NTFW, and something that I've been, really eager to share over the last 12 months, is collaboration. We're moving forward together, albeit maybe, some concerns around budget as we move into sort of, Westminster budget and then Senate's budget as well. But I think, strengthening work-based learning, moving forward, as I said, it does help to grow the economy, but it also helps to develop our workforce as well. We've got a workforce who really are, so valuable, so precious, I have to say, and so multitasking workforce, they've learned so much. Yeah, from the days where we did our D32, our D32 to the A's and the B's now. But you guys, the learning and development qualifications that you do, those higher level qualifications that you do, we've got a workforce who really are setting the professional standards for apprenticeships and work-based learning, definitely.
I mean, how do you think? I mean, we've always thought those staff are so important. I mean, it can be a really challenging job.
Yeah.
How do you think that those people, those staff on the ground, really make a difference to the lives of our learners?
Oh, they undoubtedly do. I think you'll know that we have the Apprenticeship Awards Cymru, which is obviously a Welsh Government initiative. That'll be slightly postponed, may look something different in the future now as we work with our Medr colleagues, but it is still so important to recognise them. I just went to a graduate ceremony last Thursday, I have to say. And what's important there is when you talk to, we commonly call them learners, don't we? But students, learners, when you talk to the people who've achieved their apprenticeship, they will always recognise their training assessor, advisor, mentor, etc., because they help them through that journey. It's like I said when I was 16 years old, if it wasn't for Pat really guiding me through and telling me, Lisa, you need to chirp up a little bit, get a bit more confidence. I don't know where I'd be, but you always find that they're so in recognition of the support that they have, because in whatever world we're in whatever life stage we're in, sometimes challenges hit us, don't they? And sometimes they can be personal as well as professional challenges. And what I find from the workforce, and I know this is a lot of the training you do with the workforce as well, is it's guiding our assessors and our staff really to be able to work with learners, in dealing with any of those bumps in the road. So, whether there's a little bit of guidance, a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of counselling, redirecting into areas and avenues, external agencies where they can get support. Yes, they're there to help them through the qualification, but there's that softer skill element as well, where they help with our wraparound support as well. It's not with every learner, but sometimes, as I said, we face barriers, and you help to qualify the staff to be able to support them then on that journey really and achieve their goals.
It is that's why it was in Panda we do offer a range of things, because, and again, when I was a training manager in a training company, we used to put our assessors through counselling qualifications to help them support their learners, because everybody comes across struggles and challenges in their lives, and if they're trying to complete a qualification as well on top of that, the assessor can use different methods in order to support their learner, and like you say, refer them on to different agencies. So it is something that we've always tried to build into our programs as well, is the wider thing, not just teaching and learning, it's the wider support.
You're right. And it is so important, and as I said, and obviously we have practitioners of the year, where people get recognised. And I think that is so important, because sometimes, more often than not, staff go over and above. And I think post the pandemic as well, we find a lot of, I'm going to say younger generation, but it tends to, it can happen to lots of other people who've really struggled through that period of time, and so our staff have adapted in order to, just recognise that and then support them through the next steps of their qualification as well.
Sometimes people underestimate the power of the learner relationship. That rapport has to be there. It underpins absolutely everything.
Absolutely.
So it's not just the learning, which is, of course, paramount, but is that relationship.
Ross, you're spot on. You're spot on, I think, building that rapport with that learner. And also don't forget then you've got that rapport with the employer as well. So what happens is you build that good relationship, and then they'll come back then to you for more apprentices as well, because it does support staff morale as well. It does increase staff morale for an employer, where they've got an apprentice who's seen, their journey achieving that qualification, but also the support that they're having. You can pick up the phone to that advisor. It's really, really important.
Can I just ask you, you mentioned employers then. Have employers sort of been discussed within the Medr strategy? Are they going to feature, how is that, the awareness going to be raised as well?
Employers is a really hot topic for us at the moment for a number of different reasons. So I also sit as the Vice Chair of the Cardiff Capital Regional Skills Partnership. And within the Regional Skills Partnership, it is really a priority to engage with employers so that, the world of work is evolving. It's forever changing, isn't it? And now we've got a plethora of qualifications, including cyber, fintech, etc., but also creative industries is one of the biggest growth areas in Wales. So it's just about talking to those employers about what their needs are for their businesses, and then also getting them on board as well to share those experiences with our younger generation. So there's a lot of conversation around working with pre-16 as well. So Medr, RSPs, Careers Wales, etc., talking to teachers and school children even at that primary age, you know, to get them really enthused about what it is to be an engineer, what it is to be an electrician, what it is to work behind the scenes on Doctor Who, or, you know, all these, or coding these days and gaming and things like that. You know, the apprenticeship offer is massive, but the employer is crucial to that, you know. So the discussions at the moment is we need to get more employers on board. We need to have that employer voice. We work really closely with people like CITB, FSB, you know, the Federation of Small Businesses in Wales as well. And that is imperative, because only by working with them, you know, Wales is really made up of 90% plus, I think, of small businesses. So we have to work with them and support them in their journeys as well.
That's great. Well, thank you ever so much today, Lisa. You've given us some really good insights.
And you're welcome. So passionate about learning and vocational education. That's why we wanted you on the collab this week. So thanks.
Well, thank you both. And I remember sitting with you in Caerphilly doing a course with you guys a couple of years ago as well, which was quite a emotive one, actually. It made me think, you know, because I went through my own tough time, my own challenges as well. And it was really good, because it just reminded me, you know, that when you're in work, when you're with your students, your learners, etc., with your colleagues, take the time to breathe as well. You know, take that time to step back and breathe as well, you know. But, you know, so I'm forever grateful for that. And, you know, continue working with you guys and sharing, you know, all that you're doing as well. And yeah, you know, we can just all share the passion together then, can't we?
Share the love.
Yeah.
Share the love, definitely. Who needs Fridays? Monday. What a great Monday. Monday afternoon is brilliant.
We've got to thank you as well for leading us on really nicely to introduce our next podcast.
Yes, because it's all about learner relationships. And so, in the next one, I know it's almost like we planned it, almost. And so we're going to be in the next one, we're going to be joined by Nick Barton and Nikita Tucker. We're going to be talking about building those learner relationships and to keep them engaged, you know, because as we've just said, that learner relationship with their tutor or their assessor and the employer, it keeps them engaged. That's what we need.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll keep a lookout for that, and I'll share that then as well to our network. So important. Yeah.
And we've invited them on because, like yourself, very experienced. So Nick's a really, I don't know if you know Nick, Lisa Bain's a really experienced coach and trainer. His specialty is in leadership and management, and he's done a lot of training for us on relationships. And then Nikita's been on quite a few courses with us. She's a lifelong learner with PAMDA, but she's just become the learning development lead for the Cumtab University Health Board.
Great. Okay.
But those two, their experience and their passion as well about working with learners and keeping them engaged and how to do that. They've got loads of tips and tricks up their sleeve. So we're really looking forward to that.
Well, that'll be great. That'll be really good. I have to say, Cumtab have a fantastic learning program as well. So yeah, I'll listen in for that one as well and share it.
That's great. Thanks ever so much, Lisa. Thank you.
That's okay. You're welcome. Take care, guys.
Thank
Lovely
you.
to speak to you.
Bye.
Bye.